Hello everyone, this is Cindy with Moonfire Studios. Previously I made this 8x8 Christmas card for my, don't want to show all the goodies inside, for my, one of my Christmas exchanges. I don't know who it's going to go to yet, so you'll be kind of surprised and kind of not if you watch the video. But I made it out of 2 sheets of paper because I did not have any 8x8 card, and I wanted to be able to fit all of the neat details in here in it. So now you're probably wondering, how do I mail it, or what do I put it in so that I can safely tuck it inside an envelope or inside a shipping envelope to so that it's not just loose in there, willy-nilly floating around to get, you know, maybe squished up or something pulled off of it or anything like that. So what we will be using today is the Envelobox, and this is by Crafter's Companion, and you can do I have all the instructions, and I laminated them and put them in the booklet myself, so I wouldn't have to keep looking them up, or I wouldn't ruin them. So it has all different sizes from 3 inches to 8 inches, and you can go 3 by 3, 3 by 4.5, 6.5 by 7, 8 by 8, and it will tell you what size paper you need to start from. So there's a flat envelope, but this one has all dimension in it, so I'm going to go with a 1/2 inch. So there's for flat, and then there's a 1/2 inch, and they also have millimeters in their directions for you as well. So there's a 1/2 inch thick, and there's 3/4 inch, and there's also up to 1 inch for whatever you need to put in there. So today we're going with the 1/2 inch, and like I said, these are the instructions, and this is the board. It has some little cute little embossing details that you can do. It has little guidelines where you can put the point of your envelope flap in, and you can just emboss a neat little design on there, or a cute little butterfly, whatever you want. And there are different steps up here and down here for your guidelines, and then there are little letters inside each groove. Goes from A to O. It might be a little difficult to see, but they're in there. And then these are labeled 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4 for your steps, corresponding corner ones. So since my card is 8 by 8, I'm going to go up here, and 8 inches by 8 inches means I need a 13 square piece of paper, so 13 by 13, which I am currently out of, but I'm going to show you a little workaround for that in case you do have something bigger, but it's not quite as sturdy as cardstock or chipboard or something like that. So I have this piece of decorator paper, and it's pale pink to go with the color scheme of my card. So what I'm going to do is, this one is, I think it's 23.5 by 15.5, so 15 3/8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a section Now I've had this one for a little bit of time, so it has some bleaching along the edges, so I don't mind cutting those off. Or this one's not too bad. I'm going to actually use this edge, and because I'm going to ink the edges anyway. So I'm going to mark 13 by 13 on my paper here. And then you can cut that out with a ruler and X-Acto knife. What I will do is get my quilting ruler and my rotary cutter and cut it with that, with the handheld. Because what happened here is the excess folded around the edge of the cutter. And even if you have like this type of cutter where it keeps it flat, the little razor blade in here can catch the raised aspects of this and get caught and fray everything terribly. So, handheld rotary cutter it is. We check our instructions, and it says use position 1 and 2. So what you are going to do on here is take your paper and line it up on the first step. It's got a 1 there. I know it's really difficult to see on camera, but it's there. So what you're going to do is line everything up on position 1. Put that right up there, right up there, right against there. And then it says you've got 2 letters underneath your sizing, M and M. So like if you had a 5 by 6 envelope, you would need 9" by 9" square. You would use position 1 and 2 on the steps, and you would use letters F and H as your scoring lines. So we're doing an 8 by 8. Our paper is 13 inches squared. Position 1 and 2 for a 1/2 inch thick envelope, and we are using letters M and M. So that means that all 4 sides you will score on the letter M. So we've got A, B, C, D, L, M. M is right here. And we take our stylus. I'm using a ball stylus, so. And I'm actually going to score on the back side because I don't like the bulk on the inside of my score line. So when you push down to score, it makes a channel in there in the paper. So if you bend it backwards, there tends to be extra paper that got smushed out. Make sure everything's lined up and go straight down letter M. And I like the rounded stylus like this versus the pointed one for things of this nature, because the paper actually is kind of fragile, and if you have one of the blade type ones, it can cut right through it no matter how little amount of pressure you give it. So there's that one, and then flip it over to the opposite corner this is where if you had different letters, that would come into play. But since we have a square envelope, they're all the same. So your first letter is M. So we did M on this one. Flip it over to the other side. We do another letter M. And then the second letter is also M. So we go ahead and rotate it to the other 2 points. And we do M there as well. And M also on the last one. And then if you want to, you can crease your first position. So they are more visible to you. And then to create the 1/2 inch pocket of the envelope, this is where position 2 comes in. Where you can see 1 and 2, and if you notice on the flat, it only has position 1 because you only need 1 set of score lines. So this one is going to create the 1/2 inch right here so that you can slide your stuff in. So position 2 is, remember this was 1, so we go up a step to 2, and then down here and up top as well. I'll show you up top because it's the same. Position 1, go up the step to position 2. Now this is where you get your differences. The difference between 1 and 2 is a 1/2 inch. Between 1 and 3 is it's 3/4 of an inch. Between 1 and 4 is an entire inch. So that might also be helpful to you. So for 1/2 inch, we go from 1 to 2 and line it up top and bottom corners, 1 and 2. And then we're still going in letter M because we have a square envelope. M to M. Now the interior score lines will overlap. Okay, and now we can fold those. Okay, now we are all done with this. Okay, and before we glue our flaps together, where did it go? Oh, I have a piece of 8x8 card that I cut to fit inside the square to make it more sturdy for my card to go in. So I'm just going to ink around the edges of it just for aesthetic. And then we're just going to glue that to the interior of the square, and it's a little bit smaller, which is fine. That will not bother me. It's mainly just to help keep it from flopping. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to cut for the bottom flap. You're going to cut this little triangle bit into the second score line, and then you're going to cut the little triangle on the end off, and then you're going to cut the little outside triangle that the score lines created off. So you're left with a little flap, and I like to do an extra little triangle sliver piece off of that so that there's a good empty space in between, so that when it folds in, it doesn't catch and it folds in neater. So you have a little tab on the end here. On the opposite side of that, you're going to create another little tab. So we're just going to cut off this top triangle, and then we're going to cut in on this side all the way to the second score line, and then you can cut this triangle off or you can leave it on. It's up to you. It doesn't bother anything. I just tend to cut it off because it's less for me to glue and worry about my interior stuff getting caught on it. So now that is going to go up like this, and then your little flaps are going to end up being tucked in like that. So that's going to go that way. Now for the top, you don't need any of this interior bit at all. So we're going to cut to the second score line and then cut it off to the second score line and cut that off to the second score line and cut that to the second score line. Now if you want to, you can round your corners or you can leave them straight. It's entirely up to you and whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, and I'm going to round this top corner. I'm going to round it with the large rounder. Okay, and then what you're going to do, so this is going to fold up. The tabs are going to glue onto the sides like so, almost kind of like a little box, and then your side flaps will come over and then your top flap will come up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on those. So we're going to fold it up like an envelope. And I like to put a little dot on these two . Okay, and then we just run a line along the edges. Okay, and there is our envelope. Now if you want to make this not floppy, you can put a piece of cardstock in there and then just trace the edges. And I will cut just to the inside of these so that they don't peek out or you don't see the ink line. Okay. Make sure it fits how you want it to. Alright. And then for this one, I'm actually going to use tape runner just so I can stick it up against it, because I don't need to make sure that I have wiggle room. Okay, and then I'm just going to drop that in, make sure it's up against the bottom, and flip it over. Heat it up some with your hand so that the adhesive makes its bond from the tape runner. Okay, and there you go. And if you want to, you can put something up against that, but I think I'll just leave it plain. And then we'll do some inking on the corners. Okay, and there we have our envelope. Everything fits in really nicely. And if you are not sending it, even if you are sending it internationally, because I have sent it that way before, if you use a coated cardstock or something like that, you can make this and put your card or a small journal, small folio, whatever inside of it, and they will get it perfectly fine. I do recommend taping your corners just for so wetness doesn't get inside of it, but I have had 100% success in sending Enveloboxes internationally as well as domestically. So there is that, and I will decorate my envelope and then it'll be on its way. Thanks very much. Please like and subscribe and share if you enjoy this tutorial. It helps me out immensely. It's free to you and it only takes a few seconds to click the buttons for me. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for being here and thank you for watching. Until next time, bye! And this is how I decorated the front. I haven't put anything on the flap yet. I'm going to wait until it gets sent, but I'll probably put a wax seal, some type of flower or Christmas bell in white with glitter on it. So there's that. Let's see if that might help you. There you go. Thanks. Bye.